So, you want to do well on the Asvab? In this video, I'm going to tell you the tips, tricks, strategies, and insights I used to get there. Sit back, relax, and see you soon. Hi everyone, and welcome to the channel. In this video, we're going to discuss the Asvab. Now before we get into what is the Asvab and how you do well, let's create a few frameworks around how we're going to discuss this today. First and foremost, context. Yes, I scored a 99, and that is the highest score you're able to get. But in this video, yes, it may make me someone you should listen to, only on this, not necessarily other standardized tests. But at the end of the day, I think I did well. So I'm going to share all of the tips and tricks that I used and that I researched and found out about so that you can do very well on the test. Now, does everyone need to score a 99? Clearly not. There are jobs that open across every branch prior to the 99 threshold. That's an easy assumption. So this video is really built around giving you as much information as possible, and once again, giving you the tools to make sure you're successful so that you can score as high as you can. And hey, it's not a one and done test, which we'll discuss later. You can always take the test again to bump the score up a bit. First, what is the Asvab? The Asvab is the test provided by the Department of Defense to pretty much understand what is your aptitude for learning. The Department of Defense uses the Asvab test to gauge which topics and what is your general ability to learn different things they may want to teach you. The acronym for Asvab means the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. Now there's two different versions of the Asvab. One is the Computer Adaptive Test, often called the CAT. And the other one is the written version. The written tests are usually provided at places called Mobile Examination Test Sites, which are METS, M-E-T-S. That compares to MEPS sites, which is Military Entry Processing Stations. The written tests are often provided at MET sites as compared to General MEPS stations, which of course provide the CAT test. That pretty much means a test is going to adapt to you as you take it. I know it sounds scary, but again, I once saw a model online that made it really easy to understand. Think of it like this, and yes, it's intimidating, but it also is a really good way for a test to gauge exactly where you are. When a test gives you its first question, if you answer it incorrectly, it will then give you an easier question. If you answer it correctly, it will then give you a harder question. At the next questions, it will do the same thing. Let's say the person who got the first question wrong gets this question right. It will then bump the difficulty of the next question up a bit. And for the person who got the initial question correct, if they get theirs wrong, it'll be bumped down, or if they get it right, it'll be bumped up for the next question in difficulty. And so I'm not sure if it's exactly the same for the CAT test of the Asvab, but I know for other standardized tests that use Computer Adaptive Test or CAT methods, it's trying to gauge where you're getting 50% of the questions right and 50% of the questions wrong. And so it's going to keep making it more and more difficult in regards to the type of questions you're being asked, anywhere from math to arithmetic to English grammar, until it's like, this must be where they are, because on average, they're getting half of them right, but they're also getting half of them wrong. So we're gonna say this is where they are. But just know that if at first it feels a little easy, but then within 15 minutes of this test, you're like, this is getting a little difficult, that is totally normal. And that anxiety of these questions are hard just means you've been doing well for most of the test. So you now are in an area where it's like, let's see what you really can do. step up to the challenge. Next, we're going to discuss the PiCAT. Now, I don't care in this video to discuss every type of test in the world, but it's worth mentioning that the PiCAT is an alternative similar to the written version of the Asvab, but that's still the Asvab. The PiCAT is an alternative to the Asvab. Now, the PiCAT means the Pending Internet Computerized Adaptive Test. So still an adaptive test, and it still will feel quite difficult, but I believe the PiCAT is provided in situations where maybe you are not able to make it to a MEP station or a MET station, and or you feel more comfortable taking the test at home and they approve that. But I do know it is a multiple hours test that is unproctored, which just means there's no one watching over your back while you take it. You are expected to be honest and upright and not cheat during the test. But if you do take the PiCAT and you do cheat, I want you to understand that when you do go to MEPS eventually for your processing, you will have to take a 25 to 30 minute test validation or verification test, which just means it's a very, very summarized, shortened version of the Asvab to make sure that the scores you got on your PiCAT really match the score you get or the general difficulty level you're able to get to in the abridged version of the Asvab. The Asvab is broken down into 10 sections. The first 4 are called the Armed Forces Qualification Test component, and that is the score that people usually say and is the qualifier to get into any branch. First is arithmetic reasoning. That measures your ability to solve basic arithmetic word problems. So if Mary walked 2 miles to get to the store, then she walked 1 mile to get to the gas station. How many miles will it take her to get back to where she started? Home. 3 miles. You know, that kind of thing. So arithmetic reasoning. Next section, word knowledge. And remember, it measures your ability to understand the meaning of words through synonyms. An example, I am angry. The multiple choice questions will say, I am elated. I am temperamental. I am enraged. I am blissful. In that question, you should probably choose enraged, because enraged is a synonym of angry. Next, paragraph comprehension, which measures your ability to obtain information from written material. The last section that makes up your Asvab primary score is the mathematics knowledge. So, like we've already said, we've covered arithmetic reasoning, which is word math problems. Then we covered word knowledge, which is synonyms. Then paragraph comprehension. And now we're at mathematics knowledge, which means it measures your knowledge of mathematical concepts and applications. So I want to be frank with you guys. This section can hit people in the face because it looks very, very intimidating. But we'll discuss in this video, as we already have started discussing, there are tips and tricks. You will be fine if you study. I'm not gonna lie to you. If you don't study and learn the tips and tricks to each type of question, you're gonna see a question that says, if the speed of Mary's car is R times 5/9, and John's car is going 6R times 2, what is the speed at which the cars will stop if they collide? That was not a real equation because that would not work out mathematically. I don't know what that was. But just know, it gets scary. Well, let's run through the last 6, which of course qualify you depending on your performance for specific jobs in specific areas. So, first we have general science, which of course is science and general knowledge of, the earth, space, things of that nature. Next, we have electronics information, which measures knowledge of electrical currents, circuits, devices, and electrical systems. We have the auto and shop information, which make up the next two sections. They're very similar, but it's still technically two different sections. So that makes up 4. And then the last 2 include mechanical comprehension, which measures knowledge of the principles of mechanical devices, structural support, and properties of materials. And finally, the sixth non-primary 4 category is assembling objects. Pretty much, they're going to give you, yes. Think of a circle, and then think of drawing lines through that circle that make it into more like 4 pieces that come together like puzzle pieces to form that circle. And then once you've made the lines that make it into 4 puzzle pieces that are now making one circle, spread them apart on the piece of paper in your mind, and then kind of put this one over here, that over there, and that over there. And so assembling objects is when they show you, a circle with those precise lines, and then they show you 4 multiple choice options of what the individual pieces look like, just spread about. Which of the four multiple choice options shows the 4 pieces that would make up that circle with those specific puzzle piece lines. I hope that made sense. Maybe I'll put it on the screen, but I probably won't. Now that we've discussed all of that, let's get into the minimums for each branch. So first, we have the Army. The Army, you need a 31 to qualify for any job in the Army. Next, the Marines, 32. Going up a bit, the minimum for the Navy is 35, and the minimum for the Air Force is 36, and the minimum for the Coast Guard is a 40. I guess my first recommendation, definitely look up the jobs that you may want to get, your dream jobs. Because let's say your dream job requires a 68 Asvab score. You know you probably should shoot for a 75. Step 2 is set up a date with your recruiter. So once you're ready to kind of really initiate the process, say to your recruiter, and your recruiter may already have tried to schedule it, and maybe you said pause, or it's already happened, but just if it hasn't been scheduled, work with your recruiter to get an official date for the ASVAB, so then you can work backwards from that date. So if you have 1 month, your schedule for studying and things of that nature can be built around only having 1 month, compared to someone who's like, oh, my ASVAB test is gonna be in 2 months. What does that look like for me? Maybe studying 3 days a week for 2 or 3 hours each time. Options, we have options. The third step is to then create a timeline. So it's very popular for people to kind of prep in 1 month. I think I had a month and a half. I don't even remember, actually. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know. Go to the library or stay at home. Just find a place that is conducive to your studying so that you can get the best score possible, because this is your future and I want you to do your best. Step 5. Some of the questions will look quite scary. That is normal for everyone. But how do you combat that? You get an ASVAB book, go to the library or go to your room, wherever you want to go, and you just work through the sections of the book. It will describe the type of questions you'll find on the ASVAB, the common mistakes, which are super useful, and the way you're supposed to think about each question. Okay? Now's for the most important tip to how I got a 99, how I got the top score on the ASVAB, is to take full test and to go over the question and answer explanations in the back of the book. Insane, right? Crazy, big, surprising tip that got me this crazy score, right? No, it's not that hard. It just takes a lot of time and patience and perseverance. Because when you finish a test that literally took 2.5 hours, and that's you being studious. Like, you're sitting at home or at the library for me where I was, you're literally sitting there for 2.5 hours. When you finish your test, go to the restroom. I would usually like take a walk around the library. I didn't leave the library, but I'd literally walk through some of the aisles of books just to like give my mind a break. And then after maybe 5 or 10 minutes, I sat back down and said, okay, let's see what I got right and wrong. And the ones that I got wrong, let me read the explanation. Because literally the book I had, and I forget, maybe it was College Prep, I forget what company it was, but I'm pretty sure every test book does this, where if you get it wrong, you can go to the back of the book. First it'll explain the question, like a general framework for what the question was asking and how you should think about the question when you're reading it. And then it'll literally explain why each answer is wrong and why the correct one's right. So if I chose A, it will literally have like a cute little 3 sentences that's like, oh, this is wrong because, and you'll go, I didn't even think about that, or I didn't notice, you're right, that's not where the 2 goes if you drop the 2 and move the decimal place, right? Oh, good point. 3, or like then letter C, which is correct, I'll read it and I'll go, oh yeah. And so if you, over the month of preparing for the test, if each week, let's say on Saturday, you take it, so you've been studying every day of that week, but on Saturday, at the end of the week, you take an official test instead of just covering a certain, section of the test. Let's say you take an Asvab test on a Saturday from the book. Like, you sit down for 2.5 hours and take it. Literally every weekend, like I probably took 2 or 3. I think I did, let's say 3 full tests during my month of studying. Those were the most informative things ever. Could you literally start getting familiar with how you think? And so the next time you're taking a test, and even though the questions are different, when you read a question that's similar to one you got wrong previously, this time you're like, wait. This is familiar. Last time I chose an answer that was similar to D, and it was wrong, because now I recognize that. And B is the one that sounds like the one that was right last time. See, you're not gonna get me this time, test. I'm figuring you out. But some final things. As the date draws near, first and foremost, please know where you're going, okay? So if you just are showing up to the recruitment station, they're gonna take you to a place to take the test, perfect. You should know where your recruiter station is because you've been there. But if for some reason you need to go to MEPS yourself, I just need you to understand where you're going and to get there early and don't be late. So figure out where you're going the day before and set up your logistics. Next, get some sleep. Your brain works better when you sleep, so please get some sleep. Next, eat a good breakfast. Don't eat too big and just be super tired, the whole day. But don't eat too little and have the grumbles. That's just distracting. You're supposed to be focusing on, do you want to choose A, B, C, or D, and you are listening to your stomach grumble. No. What I did on the day of the test was I had a coffee, I had a boiled egg, I had some almonds, I might have had a parfait or something, maybe like a yogurt. I pretty much Googled brain foods. I know I sound like I'm doing a lot, guys, but it worked. But don't take too much coffee, or don't drink an energy drink, because then you'll have the jitters. So a normal amount of coffee, if you're used to drinking coffee, totally fine, it helps wake you up. But any energy drinks may cause this and will only increase your anxiety as you're taking the test, so avoid. Next, please breathe, both before the test and during the test. You have put in the work, you're fine. This is literally a game of chess between you and the test. It's fine. So when it tries to trick you, you're gonna notice it and be like, don't do that, stop. I know what the right answer is. It's B. Don't try to trick me with A. Stop that. B. Next. Let's go. Also, please guess. Please guess on the test if you have zero idea. This test does not penalize for getting things wrong. So it behooves you to put something down, and I'm not sure if you're allowed to go to the next page if you don't guess. So, if you're taking the computer adaptive test, you should just pick an answer. If you really have zero idea and you've racked your brain, just pick an answer. Because you don't have time to waste on a question you don't know the answer to. Like, you cannot spend 10 minutes on a question. Like, code red, no, you don't have time for that. So, C, next. It's all about the hustle. Keep it moving, keep it moving. On the computer test, you are not allowed to go backwards. So, everyone, please remember to have faith in the question or in the answer they chose and to commit to it and keep moving. Yes, that kind of goes against the don't spend much time on the question because you know you can't go back, so you really want to focus. No, life is about balance. So if you don't know it, you need to be able to rip the Band-Aid off, pick an answer, and keep moving. But at the same time, you need to understand that I do want the answers that I'm pretty confident in to be right. So spend enough time to feel confident in your answer, but do not spend so much time that you will not finish that section of the test. Another important tip is to eliminate options. If you know 2 of them are totally wrong, guys, cut them out. Be like, no, I'm not even gonna look at you anymore. It's between A and C now. That helps you save time and it helps you increase your chance of success in getting that point. Because now you know, even if you're guessing between the 2, you now have a 50-50% chance of getting the point. So let's close off with a couple of the logistics and details that are also worth noting prior to you beginning this process. Following the test, your recruiter is going to either give you a call that same day or a few days later. If it's the same day, they're probably going to call you with the score. And if it's a few days later, that means they're going to, hopefully, if you have a really good recruiter, they're going to have both the score that you got and a list of jobs kind of initially provided. Now, if it's not, technically you should look this up yourself because they may be trying to push you in a certain direction, but they probably will say something like, here's your score and these are 4 or 5 or 10 jobs that you qualify for. You need to get your score and then go to the internet and find out all the jobs you qualify for so that you can create your list of 4 or 5 jobs that you would like to be considered for. Not, here's what you qualify for, which of these 5 do you want? Because these have been filtered by your recruiter. Don't let them filter for you. No, don't do that. So, anywho, I was called within maybe an hour or maybe 2 hours after I took the test because I was still at MEPS and then I still had to get taken back to the recruiter station where my car was parked. It was a whole thing. I was told pretty quickly compared to others. Once you figure out your score, no matter what list of jobs they provide you, do your own research for the branch you're talking with and come into the next time you're talking with your recruiter, even if it's like the next week, and you say, the first time you see him after the test, you're like, thank you for this list, but I'm going to do more research before we start continuing down this road. Bring your own list of jobs that you want. Now let's say you're not happy with the score that you get after your first kind of go at the Asvab. It's okay. There's a plan for this. So, the way it works is you have to wait 1 month of studying and figuring out, I don't know, what went wrong. Was it test anxiety? Was it certain sections that really got you nervous or really were difficult? All that intel is in your experience, so just make sure you go back into what you remember from the test and you start building that into your study plan. Anywho, after a month from initially taking the test, you're allowed to take it again. If you don't like that score, you can wait another month and take it again, but after these 2 retests, you then have to wait 6 months before you can take it a 3rd time again. So your 4th time taking the test will be after 6 months from the 3rd time of taking the test, okay? So just keep that in mind, but that is the military providing lots of wiggle room so that you can really put your best foot forward and show your best self, as they say, and so that you can qualify for any job that you want. And lastly, I know this is a lot of information, guys. I hope you enjoyed your popcorn. I wish I had popcorn, but maybe I'll get some after this video. I really want to end this video by saying, put the hard work in up front. Instead of having to retake the tests because you didn't do the hard work before the test, and now you're like, dang, I want a higher score to get my dream job, work hard prior to the test and know that you're setting yourself up to achieve your dreams. Because if you put the hard work in up front and you get the score you want, you then are able to breathe a sigh of relief, because now all of these doors and possibilities across all the branches really, but definitely at the one you're talking to, have now opened. It is a very, very useful skill that you can build both in high school and after high school and in the military. It's just always try to put in the hard work up front. And let's end it by saying good luck to you. I know you're gonna kill it. I know you have it in you. Remember the minimums though. As long as you're exceeding the minimum for your branch, you also still win. So, good luck. I'll see you next Thursday if you choose to join me. Hit the subscribe button if you felt this video was useful. See you next week.